Peace. My name is Allah Forever. I am the owner and creator of BabyBeautiful.co, which is an online store selling baby clothes. Now, this is a video that is coming out of the series of videos that I'm doing to make people aware of the online store selling baby clothes. I did a video last week that deals with the same issue. My whole idea is to make sure that people are aware of the online store selling baby clothes, because I want it to become a household name. Now, before I start off, usually I deal with something that relates to that in itself. That means that along with the baby clothes, I also bring a message. And that message is consistent with my way of life, which is what the man who established my way of life taught. Save the babies, they are the greatest. So in that sense, that is what surrounds the whole message of the online baby store. Now, there's a lot of men and women that come from a history and background that have a commitment, loyalty, and dedication to a cause and a nation. And they are reflective of that tradition. In that sense, I come from the same history and background, and that is why I decided to deal with the online baby store, because this is something that has surrounded my way of life and teachings for a long time. It was initially established by the man that we know as Allah. In fact, you see him on my shirt. This is a picture of him right here. He's in the center, so that's right there. Well, this tradition that he established is one that a lot of men and women that are committed to the cause of the nation, they also live their life in accordance with that. And in that sense, I fall within that same tradition. So I bring a mission that was started a long time ago, way before I came. But I'm committed to it just as much as those who came before me. And in that sense, I wanted to make sure that I do a series of videos that directly relates to that mission and that cause. Because I think that young men and women today that are having babies need more than just advice. They need to be able to understand the importance of the roles that they play in shaping the minds and the future of their children. In order to do that, they must have the kind of support that they need to enrich the lives of their children growing up in this society and in this world. That is something that I think is of the utmost importance if we talk about tomorrow being the future for the children of today. Now, last week, I spoke about multiple baby daddies that many black women have as a result of producing children. Now, that is something that I spoke about last week because I thought it was something that was important to mention. Because this is a fact that there's many black women, young black women, that have multiple babies by different men. That is a fact. But I also spoke about that we can't focus on the choices that they made, although that is something that is relevant. I think we need to focus on the results of their choices, which is the children that was produced from the young mothers and fathers, because that is something that is of the utmost importance. So I focus on that when I deal with the message that I want to bring to the people. And also, I also deal with many of the challenges that they will face in raising their children in a society and world in which their children will eventually have to take their own responsibility. So I think that is of the utmost importance. And I read an article last week dealing with 59% of black women have multiple baby daddies that they're producing their children by. And I went into explaining some of the issues that surround that. Now today, I'm going to speak about another article to start off with. This is an article written about a statement that was made by Don Lemon, who is a CNN anchor. He made a statement in regards to black women and marriage. So I want to read from that to start off. CNN Don Lemon says more than 72% of African American births are out of wedlock. In the middle of a national convention about race following the George Zimmerman acquittal, CNN anchor Don Lemon gave an on-air commentary that went viral on social media. The focus of the commentary was a 5-point list of recommendations. Black people, Lemon said, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. The number one item on that list, and probably the most important, he said, had to do with out-of-wedlock births. Just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, Lemon said. Especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison, and the cycle continues. Lemon's commentary inspired a firestorm of criticism on social media. The website Mediaite published a sampling, and bloggers took aim at his conclusions. If Lemon really wanted to help the black community, he could start by adopting a deeper understanding of the history, sociology, and psychology of his own people, wrote Washington Post blogger. Often made for TV analysis about deeply complex social issues in a manner in which he is irresponsible and lacks intellectual rigor. We can't check Lemon's opinions, but we did want to take a look at the one variable fact he offered. Is it correct that more than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock? We turn to data from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which publishes a report every year that includes a wealth of data about births in America. The most recent report, published in August 2012, is based on data from 2010. The report broke down statistics by ethnic groups. Here's a summary. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, 17% births considered non-marital. Non-Hispanic whites, 29% births. Hispanics, 53%. American Indian and Native Alaskans, 66% out of non-married. Non-Hispanic blacks, 73%. So Lemon is correct that more than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. To make sure we weren't missing something, we asked two population experts, Tom W. Smith, a senior fellow at the National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago, and Douglas Massey, professor at Princeton University's Office of Population Research, and they agreed that the statistic is the best available. Lemon did overreach somewhat when he went on to say that the 72% out of wedlock figure means absent fathers. The 72% figure refers to children who are born to women who are not married. It would, however, include unmarried couples in which the father is present. That said, the rate of African American children living in single-parent homes is almost as high as the rate for non-marital births. The chart below summarizes 2011 Census Bureau data compiled by Kids Count project of the Annie E. Casey Foundation. The group defined children in single-parent families as kids under 18 who live with their own single parent. It includes children living with a parent and a cohabiting adult, but it does not include children living with married step-parents. Asian American and Pacific Islanders is 17%. Non-Hispanic whites is 25%. Hispanics is 42%. American Indian and Native Alaskan is 53%. Non-Hispanic blacks is 67%. We should note that this data doesn't suggest that 67% of African American children have no contact with their father or a father figure, but rather that their fathers does not live in the same household with them. Lemon said that more than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. Federal data confirms that 73% of African American births in 2010 were out of wedlock. Estimates for the percentage of African American children growing up in single parent households are slightly lower, at 67%. Finally, black children counted in these statistics may have contact outside the household with their biological father. But Lemon's statistics was accurate, and we rate his statement true. Pardon me, that's the end of the article. Now, I think that first let's deal with who this guy is. Don Lemon is a black male who works for CNN. He is also gay, homosexual, who came out in 2011 and admitted that he was gay. Also claims that he is also married to another man. Now, I wanted to mention that fact so that we could put some emphasis on what he said. Because I think that it is good to know the background of these individuals that are making statements like this in the media, using the media as their platform to say what they really want to say. Now, there's been a lot of issues that surround the gay movement in America and what has been taking place with them. But I don't want to deal with that in itself. My main focus is to deal with the statistics that he cited. 72% of black women are not married. They're having children out of wedlock. Let's say, for argument purposes, that those statistics are right. What does it mean? Because women are not getting married, this in itself says something about them producing children? Does it say that if they was married, that they wouldn't be producing these children? What does these statistics really say? Other than pointing out that 72% of black women that have children in America is out of wedlock, meaning that they're not married. Okay, but what does that really mean? Does it mean that they wouldn't have the children if they were married? I doubt that very seriously. I think we have to be very careful about a lot of the times that people cite statistics to back up their argument. Because often statistics doesn't tell the whole story. Even if those statistics are accurate, which many of them will argue that they are. Well, I'm not here to argue that they're not accurate or that they are accurate. That's not what I'm really focusing on at all. What my focus is the babies that are being born today from the young mothers and fathers, and the kind of future that they will have in tomorrow. What can we do to make a difference with that? But I read this because I wanted people to understand that we are not just talking about selling baby clothes, but we need to be mindful and aware of the perception of how babies of today being born by young mothers and fathers are being viewed by many in the media and in the society in the world in which we live. Because that is important in the sense that it will play a role in how they are treated in the society and in the world. The perception that people have of them. Does it really matter that children are being born out of wedlock? Does that mean that they should be treated less than the children that are born who are married, their mothers and fathers? Does that mean that they should be looked upon in a different light because they were born from mothers and fathers that wasn't married? I would think not. So when we deal with a lot of these statistics with these people, it doesn't really address the real core of the issues that we need to deal with young mothers and fathers, with their babies of today, and how we can really play a role in helping them to nurture and shape the minds of their children for the world of tomorrow. Those are the issues that I think we need to speak to, and that is most relevant when it comes to babies being born today from young mothers and fathers. Because if we fail to look at the importance of what that stands in our own minds, then we fall into the same mindset of the mainstream, making it appear that these children are less worthy because of the fact that they were born from mothers and fathers that wasn't married. What does it matter? That carries no weight whatsoever. Nor does it belittle their birth because their mothers and fathers wasn't married. Because that's what that suggests. And it even goes even further to say these are determining factors of the kind of life that these mothers and fathers will be able to provide for their children because of how they were birthed. They wasn't married. I find that to be ridiculous because they didn't go through a ceremony, because they didn't go and ask for permission to be together, because they didn't go in front of a reverend, a father, or a minister, or go to City Hall and ask for a marriage license. That sounds ridiculous. It still doesn't really address the issues that the young mothers and fathers face day in and day out in raising their babies, and the kind of resources and social programs that they need to help them in raising their babies. That doesn't speak to that at all. It says nothing about that in the statistics. Should they be deprived because they wasn't married when their child was born? That sounds ridiculous. To even give statistics and then look at those statistics and you know that what underlies a lot of those statistics is some of the things that they're not saying is along those lines. That these children will grow up to be failures because their mothers and fathers were not married. That they will go to prison at young ages, become a part of the crime life, be subjected to drugs and alcohol addictions. All of these are things that they're suggesting by saying that the mothers and fathers are not married, that they're having children out of wedlock. I find that to be ridiculous, because those factors do not determine the strength and quality of the babies that are being produced by young mothers and fathers that are not married. Those factors don't determine that. We have to look at marriage in a traditional sense, how it was traditionally years ago, the institution of marriage, and how it is today in our time. What does marriage really mean to young mothers and fathers? Is it something that they find to be important? Is it something that they think will really play a major role in how they raise their children? Because if that is not the case, then marriage in itself is not something that they see as playing an important role in the lives of their children. We have to look at marriage today the way that it is. And many people have gotten married because of religious reasons. Others have done it for money. And you have those who have done it because they believed that it was the right thing to do. But whatever reason they did it for, that is the choices that they made to do it. But in this day and time, we need to focus more on how to properly rear and nurture children to develop where they will become normal functioning adults and human beings that are able to make a contribution to the society and the world in which they live. And marriage has nothing to do with that. We have to look at their values, their morals, their principles, the way that they are nurtured, their educational level, the kind of things that they're exposed to, the people that they surround. All of these things is what will determine the strength and quality of children being born today. Not whether their mothers and fathers are married or not. Because even with those ones that their mothers and fathers were married, they still became alcoholics, addicted to drugs, went to prison, became people in society that did all kind of crazy things. Many of them were some of the most craziest people that committed some of the most heinous acts in society. And they don't mention when this happens, oh, their mothers and fathers were married. They don't mention that at all. Even though they was, they never mention it. But whenever you have cases where children that was born from mothers and fathers that were not married, and they become a part of the crime life, drug addicted, alcohol addicted, they do some of the craziest things, they will mention this. So the biasness with those who are married as opposed to those who are not married in the media speaks to something too. It says that they are pushing the idea that you should be married. This religious idea, because it is a religious idea that you should be married. Because under the marriage type thing comes a religious kind of thing. When people often are married, they're married through religious institutions. It's very rare that people go to City Hall and get married. Most of them do it through a traditional way of being married, through the churches. So they're pushing this religious idea that under this, you have more stable families, more structured families, children that have a better chance of being successful, children that will not fall into the negative vices in society. These are the things that they're pushing when they say unwedded mothers. So they're pushing that idea. What we need to be mindful of is that we live in a society and world where they attempt to shape the minds of the children that are born. Just as the way that they shape the minds of the mothers and fathers that are producing those children when they were born. The false information, miseducation, and indoctrination that you are subjected to in this society growing up is something that is being passed from generation to generation. In my way of life, we don't mess around with words and take something simplified and make it complex. We just say you blind, deaf, and dumb. Plain and simple. We don't go through all of this sophisticated words using to really define what the issues or the problem is. We keep it simple. So in the message that I'm bringing, it is really addressing a lot of those things. That we need to focus on those things that really make a difference in the lives of babies being born today. That will be the future of tomorrow. The way that we do that is we use ourselves as a model based upon our own knowledge and experience and history of growing up in a society and world in which we was subjected to many of the things that we don't want our children to be subjected to. We use the best of our knowledge and experience to educate and teach them the things that we didn't know and wasn't exposed to, and against the things that we wind up being exposed to and becoming victims of. We teach them against that. That is the best way that we will be able to ensure that our children do not become the victims in a society and world in which we became the victims. I think that we can do a great service if we focus every day on that and that alone. Not on all these other issues that just really clouds the real issues. Because when we start focusing on all these other issues, we lose the real focus of where we need to be focused. And that is on making sure that the babies that we have today, that will be the future of tomorrow, do not be confronted with the same mistakes and the same bad choices and decisions that we made in our own lives. I think that is the best that we will have to offer to the babies of today. That will be the future of tomorrow. So this is one of the videos in a series of videos that I will be doing to address issues like that. Because I know that it's going to take a lot of work to change what has happened to many of the children that was born in the past with the children today. Because I'm one of the children that was born in the past. So I know, based on my own knowledge and experience, what that means. So I bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, just as many others that come from the past, that are older today, that bring a wealth of knowledge and experience of the bad choices and decisions that they made in their own lives, and how they can enrich the lives of the babies today with that wealth of knowledge and experience that they have. We know that we have experienced and suffered so much coming up in our adulthood that we can use that as a guide to change what has happened to us with the children of today. And if we are going to do that and be successful at it, then we need to use ourselves as the model. Who else are we going to use? What else is we going to use? We need to use ourselves as the models. I often speak to many youth, and I say that I'm an example of what not to be. I am the best example of what not to be. Now, they see me now and think that, well, what do I mean by I'm not that best example? Well, I tell them that, listen, you see me after all the work has been done, after all the molding and shaping, after all the trials and tribulations that I went through to get to where I'm at today. But you didn't see me when I was going through that process. So don't look at me today and think that it was always this way. No, that was not the case. And when you listen to the stories of many of the people that bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, it's basically the same story. That they went through many trials and tribulations and a lot of work to mold and shape themselves as models that they feel that they can use now today to make a difference in the lives of babies born today. Of course, we come from many different backgrounds, but the stories are basically the same. The drugs, the gangs, the violence, the street life, the alcohol, the bad choices, all of that is what affected the lives of many of the people that come with the wealth of knowledge and experience. If that wasn't the case, they wouldn't be bringing all this wealth of knowledge and experience. Because where's it going to come from? They haven't been through anything. They haven't done anything. So that's why I say that we need to start using ourselves as that model But we must first admit that we was a mess to the babies that we are presenting this wealth of knowledge and experience to. So they won't think that we some kind of perfect person or that we always made the right choices and decisions in our lives. That if they look at us as a model, that we was the perfect model for them to learn from. No, we don't want to present that kind of picture because it would be a false picture. It would be a lie. So make sure that we bring all this along with being that life model. See, I don't like to use the term role model, life model. Because when I say a life model, I'm talking about you being this each and every day in each and every way of your life. Not some days you decide that you want to take time off and do some things that you know you should not be doing. And then other days you decide that you want to be that model today. So that means that you're living a contradictory kind of life. One day you're this way, the next day you're this way. Last year you was like this year you're like this. Now if you're making improvements from year to year, that's different. But if you reverting back to the ways, behavior, and lifestyle that you lived in the past that you know is wrong, you know is no good, and then you come back to the kind of life that you are living today, that's contradictory. So you know that's not right. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying not just you being this kind of life model for just yourself. I'm talking about being a life model for children, for society, and for the world in which you live. If you're really going to be a life model, then that must be every day, week, month, and year. 365 days of the year. You must be that life model. Not reverting back to doing something that you know is definitely wrong. And if we can do that, then we can be a major instrument of change in the lives of the babies of today, so that when they reach tomorrow, they will be able to be the best that they can be and do the best that they can do in that world of tomorrow. Of course, many of us won't be here, but that's neither here nor there. Each generation must do all that they can to make a difference in the lives of those that will come after them. We owe a commitment, an obligation, and a responsibility to do that. So let's not get caught up in our individual selves. Let's focus on the real issues that is going to possibly affect the lives of children of today. We can do that and make the difference. But we can't do it if we continue to revert back to the life, behavior that we have lived in the past. We can't do it if we doing that. It takes a lot to be disciplined. And discipline is hard. It's not something that's easy. I know I do it every day. I live it as a part of my life every day. So I know that discipline is hard. But there's a reason why you discipline yourself. And you know that reason. That reason outweighs all of the other things that you may have dealt with in the past. That's if you really understand the importance of why you must be disciplined and not revert back to doing the things that you used to do. Only if you understand that. My discipline comes from knowledge of self. Had I never had knowledge of self, there would be no discipline with me. I know that for a fact. Because no one knows me better than me. So I know, had I not been introduced to the knowledge of myself, I would not even be here talking today. It is certain things that we encounter in our own lives that help us to transform our life to become the people that we become. Now, with everybody is something different. But whatever that is, it transforms you to become the person that you become, to do the things that you do in your life to make a difference. With some people, it's religion. With others, it is certain things that happened in their life that was tragic, that caused them to transform their life. With me, it wasn't religion because I don't subscribe to religion. It was my way of life, which is a culture. Definitely has nothing to do with religion. But with other people, that may have been the path that they chose to transform their life. Whatever it is, that you use to transform your life, it's not the path that you chose. It is the results that it produced. And that is the transformation of yourself as an individual, so that you will be able to be a valuable asset rather than a liability to yourself, to your family, to friends, to society, and to the world. And if you're involved in a relationship, whether it be a man or a woman, in terms of a woman that's involved with another man, or a man that is involved with a woman, whatever it is, that also plays a role in the kind of relationship that you have. Or if you're just someone that you're single, you may not at the time be involved with someone. But nevertheless, you still experience going through the transformation within yourself. And you decide from that moment on what you're going to do as a result of that transformation. And it requires a lot of discipline. I think discipline is the key factor in determining whether someone will be consistent and successful in their life, in whatever it is they decide that they want to do. All of these things that we learn and experience, this is what we use to pass down to the babies. That's why the man who established my nation says, save the babies, they are the greatest. I think that was one of the most profoundest things that he ever said to us as a nation. Because many men and women that have never seen him, nor did they live in his time, me included, were touched by the profoundness of those words. And they had a commitment, dedication, and loyalty to a cause and a nation that came way before them. By someone that they never even met. There was something that Dr. Ivan Van Sertima said. He was a historian. He's no longer here physically. But he wrote many books. One of the books that he wrote that stood out in my mind was They Came Before Columbus. But one of the things that he said in one of his recordings, he said that our conscience is shaped by many people that are dead and gone. many of the things that we learn and many of the things that we hold true to ourselves was shaped in our conscience by people who are dead and gone. And we don't even realize that. When I speak about Allah, the man who established the nation, the profoundness of what he told us, save the babies, they are the greatest. I didn't live in that era. I was not there when he said these words. But it was passed down to me by those who were there, and some of the people that they passed the knowledge down to, and it shaped their conscience. And in turn, it was passed down to me, and it shaped my conscience. When we hear people quote from some of the people in history, Malcolm said, by any means necessary. Martin Luther King, who was someone that many people quote all the time, he said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And one of the sayings that Martin Luther King said that I like was when he said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Now, I like that quote because I understand the profoundness of what he was saying within the quote. So I definitely always remember that quote. But there's many quotes that I have in my mind that I remember by different people. And those quotes was some of the guiding principles that laid the foundation of my transformation. And let me say that again. Some of those quotes was the guiding principles that laid the foundation of my transformation into the person that I became today. So I'm saying the same thing that shaped my mind and my conscience at a earlier time period in my life could also shape the minds and consciousness of the children born today that will be the future of tomorrow. We can do that as individuals in our own lives. I think of one of the quotes that Julius K. Nyerere, who was the president of Tanzania, that's in our East Africa, during the time that Malcolm visited that African country. He said, whosoever controls the minds of our children control our future. Let me say that again. Whosoever controls the minds of our children control our future. That saying is profound also. Because if you allow others to shape and mold the mind of your children, then how can you be disappointed at the results of them when they become adults? If anybody should be molding and shaping the minds of your children, it should be you. And I'm talking about not a public school system, not a society that you live in, not the world that you live in. You should be molding and shaping the mind of your babies and children. Because the public school system, the society and the world in which you live, did not produce those children. You produced them. So you hold an obligation, a responsibility, and a commitment to make sure that your children receive the best that you have to offer from your knowledge and experience. Anything else, you are depriving your children if you do not do that. So I'm saying that each one of my videos, I want to add on to that. If you can take anything away from my videos to help mold and shape your babies growing up in the world today and the society in which we live, then do that. Because I come with a wealth of knowledge and experience based upon my own background and history that I'm bringing to each one of my videos. So I'm not just talking about my online store selling baby clothes, although I do want you to go there and purchase items off of there. But even more important, I'm talking about how we must be the models, the life models in shaping and molding the minds of our own babies. That's what I'm bringing as the message in the videos that I'm presenting each week through my website and also through my channel on YouTube. The only reason why I decided to start a YouTube channel was to promote the online store selling baby clothes. Because I knew that along with that, I would be able to present the message to young mothers and fathers. That I'm not just talking about you going to my website and buying clothes for your baby. No. I'm talking about much more than that. And I'm bringing much more than that. And it will come a time where in several of my videos, I will have other people bringing you a wealth of their knowledge and experience. And then you can decide what you want to take from that to enrich your own life and enrich the lives of your babies. I know many brothers and sisters that come from a background similar to mine's that have a wealth of knowledge and experience that they also can bring to the table, and you can decide if you want to select from that also. We're not asking you for any money. We're not charging you or anything. The way I came up and the background I come from, knowledge is free. No one that ever presented any knowledge to me has charged me. Knowledge is free. Now there's a difference between knowledge and information. And I want to point out that difference right now, because you have many people who mix the two. They think that knowledge is information and information is knowledge. No, that is not true. When you get information from books, research, videos, computers, all kinds of places you can gather information from. Go to the library, research all types of stuff. That's information. But knowledge is something that is gained through experience. You can't have knowledge if you have not experienced anything. Knowledge is gained through experience, through living and learning and making all kinds of trials and errors, going through many trials and errors in your life. Knowledge is gained that way. I often say something to many of the young brothers that I taught in the past about being able to distinguish the difference between the two. And I've often said that a compilation of information is not knowledge. It is the internalization and the application of that information that becomes knowledge. Meaning you have to take that information, you have to internalize it, and then you have to apply it in your everyday life. And that's how you will turn and transform that information into knowledge, because you will be applying it and living it in your everyday life. That's when it becomes knowledge, because it's based upon now your experience of it. Not because you read it in a book or because you saw it somewhere or someone presented it to you. That's not knowledge. That's information. So there's a big difference between the two. When I say I have knowledge of myself, that is as a result of my experiences. That's not based upon some information I gathered from a library or a book or someone. That's based upon my own individual life and experience. If you ain't experienced anything, you ain't been through anything, you haven't done anything, then you don't have no knowledge. I don't care what you read and what you've learned or what college or university you went to or graduated from. That's not knowledge. That's a bunch of information. Until you internalize that and live that and apply it in your everyday life, test it through your own experiences, it's only information. It will never become knowledge if you haven't went through those processes. So when someone says that information is knowledge, that's not true. Information is not knowledge. So I wanted to make that clear so that you will know the difference between the two. So when I say I have knowledge of myself, I'm not telling you that I got information. No. You can acquire information from anywhere. But knowledge only comes through experience. There is a big difference between the two. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear before I go any further in speaking about babybeautiful.co, which is the name of the website. Now my number is 347-659-0313. That's 347-659-0313. My email is alawforever11@icloud.com. You can see it in the background. You can also see the number in the background. So I want to make sure that you understand that you can also find me on Facebook. You can go right to Facebook and order from there. I have a shop now button right there. You can hit the button and order from there. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn too. But the only place that you can order from is the website and Facebook. You can go right to Facebook and order there. I want this to become a household name. My intentions is to eliminate the way that people normally shop by going out to buy stuff from different stores, looking for stuff in this store, that store, going from place to place, trying to find different items. No, I want to eliminate that. We live in a new age and new time. Technology has revolutionized the world. So we have to be able to adapt to that. As the world changes, we must change as individuals, people, and human beings to be able to deal with the changing world in which we live. Just like years ago there was no internet, we used to use regular phones. Now today, the internet, technology has revolutionized the world. So that's the same thing that I'm attempting to do with the online baby store selling clothes. To eliminate you having to go out and look in different stores to buy clothes for your baby. Why do that when you can go right online to babybeautiful.co? Right there. And I have all kinds of items that you can choose from. Do not allow the technology and the revolutionizing of the world today to leave you behind. You have to stay up with the times. And there's people that come that they are before the times. There's people that introduce ideas that are before the times that they exist in. And people often see that as something that they don't understand. No one would have thought that the internet would revolutionize the world in which we live. But it did it. Even the phones that we use, it took the world from being that big and made it that small. It brought the world to us. Now we live in a world that is huge, with over 6 billion people on the planet. China alone has over 2 billion people. And then India, which is the second largest in the world, is right behind China with close to 2 billion. And then America will be the third largest in population-wise. America has over 300 million people that live in America. Close to almost 400 million. But the internet and our phones with the technology has made that so small. But the world is still big. It's just that we are able to get all of that through the internet and our phones. So I'm saying this is a revolutionary idea that I'm presenting with babybeautiful.co. That you can go right online and do shopping for your baby. In fact, I want it to be where we are the ones that when young mothers have babies in the hospital, that we are the ones bringing them what they need to dress their baby at that beginning stage. We have the blankets and all of that. So I want to be the one to present that in the hospitals when they have their babies, or at their homes, or wherever they have their babies, wherever they decide to have them. I want to be the one with babybeautiful.co to present the products that you will need for your baby that's just been born. So I want you to look at this as a revolutionary idea of dressing your baby. Don't wait till everybody else is caught on and then you're left behind in time, and then later on you decide, I should have did this a long time ago. You can do it right now. So go to my website, babybeautiful.co and begin ordering. You have many different items that you can choose from. Last week I spoke about adding the baby cribs on there. Well, I've added them on. So now the baby cribs are on the website now, along with many other items that I added. But I wanted to make sure that the baby cribs were on there. So when I did this video this week, I said each week that I do a video, I'm going to bring an update along with the message that I'm bringing in the video. So I've added the baby cribs to the website. So I want you to go to the website and begin ordering. Remember, when you start to order on babybeautiful.co, you become a part of the family. And we will hand deliver your orders to you. We won't send it to you. We will bring them to you. Because you now have become a part of the family. I want this to become a household name. Where when you think of babies and clothes, you think of babybeautiful.co. And I also want to let young mothers and fathers know that if you don't have a credit card, well, that's no problem. You can still get items from the website. All you have to do is email me or call me and let me know what you want, and I will make sure that you get that item, and you just pay me on delivery of the item. And let me say that again. You don't have to have a credit card to order from the website. You can email me or call me and let me know what item you want or items that you want on the website. And I will make sure that those items are delivered to you and you just pay upon delivery. COD, cash upon delivery. Because everybody is not into this where they got credit cards. Before recently, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't see no need for it. But now I have one because it's directly linked with the website. Other than that, I use cash because I know that using cash is much more cheaper and easier than a credit card. Along with credit cards come bills and them charging you and all of that every time you use the credit card. So the credit card system is a way that the banks monopolize on charging people more money by using the credit card. Because by using the credit card, you automatically fall in a system where you're charged because of the fact that you are using the credit card that's linked with their bank. So I know the whole game with that. So that's why I'm saying if you don't have a credit card, well, don't worry about it. Just email me or call me and let me know what you want, the items that you want, and I will make sure that those items are delivered to you and you just pay upon delivery. I want to make it where we will be able to still have you get items from the website without a credit card. I don't want you to be limited because you don't have a credit card. No. You can still get items. Just email me or call me. Whichever way you prefer. Let me know what you want. And I'll make sure that we deliver that to you. And we will let you know when we're going to deliver it, and you just pay upon delivery. So now with that, I'm going to say peace. And next week, I will be doing another video dealing with the same issue. Saving the babies, because they're the greatest. And if there's more that I need to update with the website, I will let you know. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings.